In this video I'm going to discuss the post that I saw on Feminist 40k. It's pretty unscientific, especially because I have a scientific background, a science background in biology, mostly human biology itself, but anyway. And I saw this on Arch Warhammer, and I saw the science in here is completely wrong. I think that friend of his is not really a geneticist. So here I go, debunk some of the things that was mentioned on the stream between Arch Warhammer, and Sargon of Akkad. The short answer is, why no female space marines? It has nothing to do with biology in a science fantasy setting, and everything to do with the fact that space marines are male power fantasies. No, it's not really a science fantasy related to all male power fantasies. Sure, I like space marines, they are awesome, but it's not simply because they are males. It's because females, even if we apply the logic of Warhammer with the science behind it, it wouldn't work with females. So I'm gonna scroll down and let's see where does it start, the bad science bit, the science fiction, science lessons, some whiny bitch. Creating space marines, a complex procedure, involves genetic modifications, wanted transplants, here is one blatant mistake that was absurd. An XY individual is as much higher risk of fatal mutations and reactions to genetic modding. He can't even type. Modification because the Y chromosome is a stubby, useless little bastard. No, it is not. We still have some DNA, how to explain this? Still have some active DNA in the Y chromosome that gives us certain male-specific traits. And here he goes a little bit more. XX is far more resilient. Not really. The only resiliency that it can provide is if one X is defective, or it has some genetic mutation, etc., that would show on a male because they don't have another X. But that's the only difference, the only advantage you have for having XX. And here he goes, X0 people are perfectly healthy. No, they are not. They are called Turner syndrome, and they are really sick. They have difficulty in reproducing, they are generally way shorter, there is mental retardation, and a series of problems, so they are not perfectly healthy. So in conclusion, XX Adeptus Astartes does not make a better candidate based on those problems here. Irradiated hellscape between the ages of them make you think that when near the peak. No, because they are picking people who are still growing, still in formation, to create the Space Marine, to go to training and see if they can survive the entire process to become a Space Marine. Growing bones, hormones, implants, a lot of stuff. That's why they picked them at that age. A lot of malnourished as hell, because when you have a very bad planet and your survival depends on your wits or on the ability of your body to stay alive longer than the competition, means that you're a survivor. And when you are capable of surviving for longer periods of time, or being capable of staying alive in such a harsh planet or in a society where hunger and misery prevails, it means that you are apt and adept at surviving, and thus it's a perfect candidate for a Space Marine. Someone messed up, way more resilient. No, from the research I've been seeing, and I looked a little until my beep Until my beep were over. You know, the F, I can't say it anymore because YouTube. Anyway. The difference between male and female in clothing department is minimal. It's like difference between 1 second. No, less than a second. And there are other research papers that show that women take longer and males less, depending on the location. This one I found in for Nepal, but so leave that one because it's seriously very minimal. Anyway, on average, way more resilient blood loss than men, significantly less prone to heart attacks prior to the menopause. Significantly, no. It's very, very tiny, the difference. It's a question of less than 1%. You just have a slight, very slight, tiny advantage. But it's not that big, especially because considering the differences between male and female regarding to strength and psychopathy, because remember, they pick the space marines who are psychopaths or people who really are into staying alive or loyal to the extreme or what we would usually consider someone like Hannibal Lecter for a space marine. Or, I don't know, some of those movies where a psychopath keeps chasing teenagers or killers, or usually that's something they'll look for because of that instinct of killing, and sometimes not showing compassion, because some of the stuff the Space Marines will have to do during their lifetime is heartbreaking or scary. So that's why they don't pick female. Females don't usually have this. That usually doesn't have that trait, especially on mental side. On physical, men are stronger. No, you can really claim that hormones can make a female stronger. Yes, you can, and they'll eventually develop a dick because of the testosterone. The clitoris. And in this case, it won't help because in the male you're already going through that process since the teenagers, when they were a teenager, and the entire body it's already quite strong. And when you compare a female with a bodybuilder, you get weird muscles and weird looking body, and they're still not as strong as if you submit a male with testosterone treatment. The male will become much stronger than a female that went hormone treatment for testosterone. And the bone structure of the male it's much bigger and sturdier. That why? Because we evolved for hunting, while females were evolved more for birthing, giving birth, or picking produce or anything related to domestic features, more bush picking or selecting what type of berries. That's why they take longer when they are watching TV to change channels, because they are picking the best fruit or they're picking the best food for the tribe or for the family, and that's why they take longer in there. While men, they are hunters. We have better spatial awareness. When we hunt, we also need to have strength. Not only strength, but also peak physical. I don't have a peak physical property. My body can't do it. But anyway, you have to be strong. And the female doesn't have that. They could probably achieve the same results, but while hunting, but it's not the same as a man. It's easier for men to do hunting than it is for females. And before you say that I'm sexist, no, I believe men and women complement each other. Women have their strengths, and men have their weaknesses when the female has their strengths. Then male have their strength, and female has the weaknesses on the male strength. That's why male and female complement each other. Yeah, that's why we need each other. So that's why males have that little hook behind your skull, right around here. And you can see too much fat. But either way, it's kind of like a hook that has an extra muscle for your mandible or jaw. Why? Because we evolved also to use the mouth to hold our own tools. That's why we have that extra muscle. For example, when we were climbing or doing other things where all hands were busy, so we use our mouth to hold it. That's why we have extra strength. And this hook on the skull, it's one of the methods science and anthropologists use to identify a skeleton between male and female. Now, moving on. Let's see where I stopped. Causing factions, thrombosis, yada yada yada. So the individual is gonna be a really good start, preferably. Holy crap, let's keep it now. Cut. Well, Space Money is caught virtually instantly from arterial wounds. Yes, because that's one of the modifications they did to the Space Marines. No, not deep vein thrombosis and everything else. No, the Emperor, the guy, practically did the Space Marines to be completely free from all those problems and be better than a human in many areas. Can be a great starting place from the beginning? No, it's not, because the female is not as strong as I've explained before. Now, you can't up the XX individual testosterone levels, so you can due to the muscle gain difficulty issues fairly easy. No, you cannot. Even if you subject a female right now, as I've explained before, with testosterone, they will not be as strong as a male when you subject it to a testosterone infusion. So in conclusion, your friend is not a scientist. You're not a geneticist. That science says only men can be Space Marines. Yes, science keeps saying that. Can't say that because, yeah, YouTube, depressing lack of understanding. Now you're completely science illiterate. You can only talk with this reasonable expertise. Now, from a wide biology of hormones and extreme suck it. And then we have the comments. You won't cite the sources because friend. No, I wanted to push an incredible idea. I would say very little. Regardless, it doesn't matter. They aren't changing it now. You should have made your case back in the 80s and 90s. And now he would still have problems doing that in the 80s and 90s because science is not there. Oh, I've come to bother us. Oh my God, the oppression Olympics. Oh, so poor little dude.
See, that's why I also know I got magazine.
That's it. That's what I wanted to discuss about Warhammer. And it's really not possible. Stop destroying our hobby, feminists and SJWs. Please stop. You already ruined comics. The DC comics, Marvel comics are really going down the drain in the selling numbers. You probably get from a medium size to a lower size YouTuber, not me, I'm way too tiny, more views on a video than you get on a single comic for Marvel. So I don't know why you want to ruin this. You already ruined card games because, for example, Magic had to capitulate to feminists. Tabletop already been ruined by this. You can see it. There are some tabletop games that were ruined as well. There are TV series where you get it ruined as well, especially with forced diversity, where characters that used to be, I don't know, ginger or white in the comics or books, and they become black somehow, or Asian, I don't know. You have them ruining games as well, because, you have to have something to someone feel inclusive. But those people who demand the companies and us to make that change, they do not consume the product. They just come in here and say, you have to change it, or else, or you're a Nazi, or a sexist, or a racist, or some other excuse. And then when you finally change it and capitulate to them, and they're gonna see fans like me or anyone else will not buy it anymore, and the game is ruined. So what happens? The company will go down. So because they themselves, the SJWs and feminists, do not consume this kind of stuff. If they do, they are really a very, very, very tiny part, or a very, very tiny percentage of the fans. They are basically, if you start capitulating to them, you're pretty much losing 99% of your customers. So don't do it. Just simply don't. Just don't do it. They are not the market you want. They are the loudest. They are the loudest people around, yes, sure, but that's it. You shouldn't capitulate to them. Anyway, this is the video I want to do about Warhammer. Oh, I love this series. Unfortunately, I never could afford the tabletop miniatures or paint them. There was a time I really could, but I had no time because I had to study for science, for my science degree, and I barely had any time. When I got home, I just wanted to rest and game a little, and my trip from my home to the university was way too long as well. So I was always tired. And now that I have the time, I can't afford it. Yay! But it's an awesome series. Oh my god, I keep yawning. Am I sleeping? No! But it's because I keep yawning. I look at myself on the monitor here. I see myself yawning, or even talking about it, it makes me want to yawn. See, that's a problem. When you try to record yourself yawning, and you don't want to yawn, and then you end up yawning. And right now I feel like yawning because I'm talking about yawns. Yay! Welcome to my life. Well, actually to any human life, because this is pretty much instinct, and we can't do anything about it. See? And there's a few milliseconds of delay on my monitor where I'm looking at myself recording it and see if the video is coming out right. So I see that, yeah, and I feel like yawning. Well, anyway, this video is probably longer than I wanted, and I wanted just to be a short one where I went to some points in which Sargon and Arch Warhammer didn't address properly, and that's it. This video is pre-recorded on Sunday, so this is you're probably watching this on a Saturday or Friday. I don't know when I'm going to set it to auto-publish, because it's to keep my channel alive and giving you content while I'm still doing surgery or In this case, probably recovering from surgery on a place with no internet. So, toodles! See you in a couple of weeks. Or in a week. Or in a couple of days. Or I don't know when I'm uploading this. No, when I'm auto-publishing this. Because uploading, I'm gonna do it today. Toodles!